Hello, everyone. My name is Rabbi Dov Chastain. For anybody who doesn't know me, I am the assistant principal of D'var Torah of Rochester and a Judaic studies teacher there. Welcome to my humble abode. And I want to thank you for joining the Plug into Peacefulness program. It is a wonderful collaborative effort, and I am very happy that my school and myself are able to take part in it. So welcome. And if there's one good thing that has come out of this pandemic that we're in, it's that we're all a little bit more tech savvy, so we can join together in learning opportunities like that. And I'd like to speak with you a little bit today about this week's Torah portion, Parshas Toldos, and also the Torah portions that we're really finding ourselves in the midst of right now. The book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, where there are many, many foundational stories about not only our religion, but the world. And these portions are a lot of fun for me personally, because they have stories about our forefathers, which are really three fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or as I'm going to refer to them, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And these are amazing stories that have always spoken to me, that I enjoy learning. It's part of the Torah that's the most exciting for me. And I've been able to give that over for many years because I have been an elementary teacher for many years. And these are the parshiot, these are the portions that I oftentimes teach in Chumash class. So I'm very happy to be able to share with you some of that knowledge and really look at it through a different lens than I'm able to do in the classroom, where I'm focusing more on every individual parsha. I want to share with you a more global approach to looking at these parshiot, at these Torah portions. And I'd like to look at a certain progression that takes place over the book of Genesis, where we take a look at three personalities very deeply, at Abraham, at Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And there's a refining process that takes place over the course of Jewish history. We speak about Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov as being connected to three Sefirot. What are Sefirot? Well, they're actually a very deep concept, but I'll try to simplify them. They are attributes of God, and they are ways that God interacts with the world. And there are three of them that are linked to our avot, to our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Abraham is linked to chesed, to kindness, Yitzchak to gevura, to strength, and Yaakov to Tiferes, to splendor. We're going to have to explain what that means and what the progression is. But to give a quick equation, if you have chesed plus gevura, kindness plus strength, you get to Tiferes, to splendor. But splendor is really the culmination of those two things together, and it's what you're ultimately trying to get to. And when we talk about Avraham Avinu, Abraham, we speak about how he was the ultimate Baal Chesed, the doer of kindness, the man who had everybody over into his tent, the man who was making sure everyone had what they needed, the man who was trying to connect everyone to God. That's who Abraham was. But even Abraham wasn't completely refined. In that, we see he had children that did not carry on his path. Ishmael or all of the sons of Keturah, we actually spoke about in Parshat Chayei Sarah. He took a wife after Sarah passed away, named Keturah. Sages actually say that was the one he had taken before, named Hagar. But he had other children. They didn't all carry on his path. Then we have Yitzchak. Yitzchak represented gevura, strength, the ability to give up one's life for God. We know the story of the binding of Yitzchak, the Akedas Yitzchak, that he was willing to give up everything in self-sacrifice for God. But even he wasn't completely refined, because he had two children, Jacob and Esau, which we're going to call Yaakov and Esav. And Esav didn't carry on his path. So even Yitzchak wasn't completely refined. Then we get to Yaakov. From Yaakov really comes the Jewish people. From Yaakov comes the 12 tribes. From Yaakov springs forth all of Jewish history. What did Yaakov do to be linked with this idea of Tiferes, of splendor? We see all of the trials of Abraham. We see that Yitzchak goes through a lot also. Yaakov had a very tragic life. He went through a lot of struggles, starting from a young age with his struggle with Esav, his brother, then on to the house of Lavan, his father-in-law, who tricked him and deceived him, then to a life where his children didn't get along, and his son Yosef, was exiled and sent away down to Egypt. For 22 years, they were separated. And then at the end of Jacob's life comes the story of the slavery. He had a tough life, but through that tough life, he was always able to maintain the right path and do the right thing and stand up for what is right. And that's really where he gets to this midah, to this attribute of splendor, to be able to roll with the punches of life, to be able to go into exile and still stand for what a Jew is supposed to stand for. I got to learn in Israel for 8 years, thank God. And when I did, I learned under the tutelage of a rabbi, Daniel Lehrfeld, in a yeshiva called Beit Yisrael. And he taught an amazing idea about one of the struggles of Yaakov, which really outlines this battle between good and evil, between purity and impurity, between physical and spiritual. And it's a very spiritual battle. It really goes back to the story where Yaakov is about to go meet Esav. It comes up in a couple of weeks. It's not this week's Parsha. And it says that he crosses his family over the river. And then it says, Vayevaser Yaakov levado. He went back alone. There's actually a song about it. Vayevaser Yaakov levado. It's a classic. Look it up. Right? So he goes back alone. And while he's back alone, he has an encounter, a very strange encounter, with a man whom our sages say was not really a man. The Gemara, the Midrashim, they all speak about how this was a representation of the sorrow shel Esav, the angel that represented Esav and everything that Esav stood for. And Yaakov battles with him ad alos hashachar, until the sun rises. They battle all night, kicking up dust. And it says that this force of Esav was not able to overcome Yaakov. He couldn't beat him. However, he struck him in the leg and injured Yaakov. And my Rebbe used to speak about how that is the battle between good and evil, that evil can't overcome good, but it can turn the lights out in the middle of your D'var Torah. Thank you for those wonderful sensors. I hope you can still see me. So now it's more like a kumsitz. It's a different atmosphere for the end here, but hopefully you can still see me okay. And Yaakov is able to overcome and to get out of this struggle. But what did the sorrow shel Esav, the representation of Esav, do? It struck him in the leg. It struck him in the support system. My Rebbe said that evil can make it very hard. Evil can strike you where it hurts and make the support of Torah, of good things, very, very difficult. However, we can always rise above that. We can always push past it. And in the end, the Torah tells us that the sun rose over Yaakov and the sun healed him, and that he was able to move on, that it's a struggle and it's difficult. It feels like you're stuck in the mud, but you can make it through. And that the whole idea of the sorrow shel Esav is to test us, to try to stop us, and they know they can't stop us head on. So they'll try to put impediments. We can push through them. It's been a dark time for a lot of people. It's been a dark time for the world. There's been a lot of struggles this year, but the sun shines on and there will come a better time. And I want to leave us all with that message of hope, that we have to be the change that we want to see in the world. We have to be able to roll with those punches of life, but know that they're just punches. They're in the way, and God sometimes gives us some stumbling blocks, but it's to test us, to bring out the best in us. I hope all of us can have the best come out and only rise to the challenges of life. Wishing everyone a wonderful Shabbos. Bye-bye.